Hello everyone, Aditya here. Welcome back to my channel and Python tutorial series. So in the last video, we saw how to print Hello World program or to just write a small Python code to print Hello World. And we also saw the difference between the compiler and interpreter just in general and saw where Python stands in terms of programming language or scripting language. We saw the difference between programming language and scripting language. And now in this video, we are going to take it a step forward. What are the variables and how does it works? And what are the data types? So let's begin with the variables first. So let's say I have this string or the sentence like hello world. So now maybe down the line of my program or the code, I might want to change this from hello world to hello world 2, or I might want to have it like say like anything, like any random string. So predicting these things or predicting these values and hard coding them in your code is not actually a best practice. And even if you predict it, like you cannot predict what the user will input. So it's kind of like not a best practice to do and hard code everything like this. So in this case, variables comes very, very handy and they're very, very useful. So the concept of variables is same in all programming languages, but the way you write the variables or the way you define the variables differs from language to language. So let's see what are variables first. So variables you can consider nothing but as a container or a holder or something like that, which just holds the value that you provide or holds the value that user inputs or holds the data that you provide or holds the data that user inputs. So let's take an example. So suppose I have a variable myvar. Like you can write the name of an variable anyhow you like. You can name it anything. You can name it myvar 1234. You can name it my variable. You can name it myvar anything. The only rules that we need to follow is it needs to be clear and concise. And secondly, it should tell what exactly the variable is doing. And third, but not the least, we just need to follow the programming language rules for defining a variable. So the general rules, rule number one, it should be clear and concise and it should tell what it is doing. We have programming language rules, which is the Python rules on writing a variable. So a variable should begin in Python with the alphabet. It cannot begin with number. Okay, so I cannot say 123 123 myvar, or nor I can say 1 myvar. However, I can say myvar 1. So the number can come at the end or in the middle of the variable, but it cannot come at the start of the variable name. Okay, so that's rule number one. Rule number two, you cannot have a space between variable name. So you cannot have my space var. However, you can have an underscore like this. So that's fine, but you cannot put a space like a space bar. So that's rule number two. Rule number three, you cannot have hyphen as well. So you need to have either underscore or nothing in middle, but you cannot have space bar and hyphen. Okay, so these are the basic rules of writing a variable in Python or declaring a variable name in Python. Now let's assign the value to this. So assigning a value to a variable is very, very simple. You just use equal to sign and you just write the value you want to assign to it. So here I will say hello world with variable. Okay, so what it is doing is the value or the sentence or the data I am wanted to store in that variable, I am just providing it to the right hand side of the equal to operator. So always remember this equal to operator, this one, this is known as equal to operator. It is an assignment operator which works from right to left. So whatever value you provide in right will be stored or will be assigned to the variable which is on the left hand of it. So where value to the right and the name of the variable to the left, because the assignment works from right to left. Now once we have this, let's see how to print this variable. So if I say here, or rather let's do something like this, print my var. Now let's go to our terminal and let's run this program. So if you see, we have hello world and hello world with variable. So it is coming from here. Now if you notice here I have put the quotes, while here I haven't put any quotes. This is because, so let's first put the quotes and let's see what happens. So it would be more clear. If you see, if I put the quotes, it displays it my var. It doesn't display the hello world with variable. Why is it so? The thing is, when you put quotes around the like just at the start and the end, it is defined as a string or literal characters. So whatever goes inside the quotes, it is defined as it is, like, or it is shown as it is. So that's why we are saying it my var literally. But if I remove this quote now, then I will see the value of my var. So it will be hello world with variable. So that's how you print a variable. So when you put the quotes at the start and the end, it becomes literal string or literal sentence. But if you don't put it, then it becomes the variable. Okay, so that's the difference. Now let's see what other variables or what other data types we could use. So this one thing is a string data type, like the collection of alphabets or numbers. Like I can have numbers here also written between quotes. That is string. So string in general is nothing but anything in quotes and is collection of alphanumeric characters. So now let's see what are the other data types. So let's take another variable. So let's say I want to define a number. So let's say I want to define a number, say 1, 2, 3, 4. So how can I do it? I will take a variable my num. Okay. So my num, now I can assign a value to it saying 1, 2, 3, 4. When I say like this and go here and just print my num, save it, and then go again here, run it, you will see it's printing 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the thing here is you can change the value of your variable during the execution of your program. So I can say here, after I print it, I will say my num equal to 4, 3, 2, 1. Like I can just reverse it or I can give any value I like. So if I just print it, my num, and now if I go back again, run this, you'll see hello world with variable 1, 2, 3, 4 and 4, 3, 2, 1. So another thing to notice here is the program starts from line number 1, goes all the way to line number 13, line by line. Okay. So in this case, if I remove this my num from here and put it over here, you'll see it's giving me a warning, rather an error, that my name is not defined. So if I save this and even run this program, it will throw me an error saying that my num is not defined. Why? Because I'm printing my num before even defining it. So that's why I need to define it first, then print it anywhere I like after I define it. Okay, so first comes the definition and then comes the usage. That's how things works in Python for variables. So first is the variable usage, or rather in any programming language, you need to define the variables first and then use it. Okay, so let's go over it again quickly. So variables are nothing but they are used to store value or data provided by the user or provided by you. Okay, these variables have various types, which is nothing but the data types. So currently we saw two data types, which is string and the number, which is the integer. So once we define the variable, then and then only we can use it. So we define the hello world with variable, then we define my 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we used it by just printing it over here. Also, you can change the value of that variable during runtime. So changing this value in the middle of the code, this is known as runtime change. Okay, so runtime change, this is a new concept. Sorry, I didn't introduce this before, but runtime change is nothing but changing the value or making certain changes during the execution of the code. So that is runtime. After that, we all have all this. So let's see the another types of data types. So we saw string, we saw integers. So this is like whole numbers are known as integers. There is something known as float, which is nothing but the decimal numbers. So let's take another variable. Let's say I have my num decimal equal to, of course I can give any name here again. I'm just keeping it for a clarity purpose that I'm saying it my num decimal. And now I will give it a value 123.456. So if you see, this becomes a decimal number. So if I print it now, my num decimal, and let's see what it gives us. It will print it 1234.123.456. We can also have another variable type, another data type. Actually, I can see it's a variable type because it's, if I say print type of my num decimal, it will show me the type of it. So if I just say, it will show me float. So now we saw like what is, like we just saw the type and we came to it like it's a float, but what exactly is float, integer and string? So integer is nothing but the whole number. Okay, float is nothing but the decimal numbers. So in other languages you have long and double, but in Python you just have int and float. So int, this which is like int, it's for this integer number, and float, float is for the float number. So let's see data type of each of the variables. So we already saw for minum decimal. Now let's print the type for, so I'll just copy this and let's do it for minum. I type it correctly, minum, and also do it for my var. Okay, now let's run this program. If I run this, if you see, my num is integer, which is int type. My var is string, which is str type. So string is collection of characters, integer, whole number, float, decimal number. There is another data type, which is boolean, which can have value either true or false. So let's see what it is. So if I say my boolean var, so of course you can give any name to this. If I say it as true, and if I just copy this again, paste it here and print the type of my boolean var, and let's go over here again, let's run it. You will see it shows me the type of bool or boolean. Okay, if I do it false, it will show me the same result, provided that it would be it will just have the value of false. So if I do it again, if you see, it's just the boolean. So that's how the data types and variables work in Python. In the next video, we are going to see the operators, and also we will see how to like concatenate two strings or join two strings. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. If you like this video and feel like it's worth sharing, then please do like this video and also share it with your network. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.